entertainment tonight is on. But I don't know.
My friend told me Google had no idea.
Right. But that's remember Michael Jackson did.
Well, you know what?
Nothing
Michael
around.
Jackson died. No one else
I
died.
know.
Forget about it.
Right.
Sorry, you died today. Michael Jackson died.
Right. That's it.
There go Michael Jackson.
Came in, we couldn't even speak to one another. We hugged one another, we cried. It was absolutely devastating to us. We couldn't even form the words. He went into the other room, and then Jermaine came in, and the tears were streaming down Jermaine's eyes. I said, Jermaine, and he couldn't even talk. We couldn't even speak the words. And we just hugged, and he went into the other room. We are devastated. The whole family is so sad, and I don't know when I'm going to stop crying.
How do you think they're going to handle this whole process? They've asked for privacy.
They have asked for privacy. They are kind people. They're gentle people. I've known them for now the best part of my life, for half of it, and I have always respected them. They're just kind. They're decent people. They're my friends.
What did you represented Michael when he was facing criminal allegations?
Yes, I represented Michael in the criminal case in Santa Maria. We had a host of attorneys who were there. I told Michael I would not let them convict him. I would find the evidence that showed he hadn't done it so that he would not have to make his own claims of innocence. I found that evidence. It was presented. It was very, very certain that Michael Jackson was innocent.
What did that do to him personally? I mean, you had an inside look, whereas many of us on the outside didn't. When you talked to him, what did it do to his confidence? What did it do to his personality going through that scrutiny?
There were nights on the telephone where both of us were absolutely devastated by the silliness of the allegations. When we found various pieces of evidence that showed that this was a fraud being perpetrated against him, checks where there were frauds taking place by this family against him, Michael was beyond words. He said, Brian, why are they doing this to me? And I had no answer. I couldn't say, except to say, Michael, we will not let you be found guilty. We will prove to the world that you are innocent. And by gosh, we did.
I mean, he had his home was called the Neverland Valley Ranch that evoked the spirit of Peter Pan, kind of a desire never to grow up. He had this childlike quality.
I think that Michael had a childlike quality, but Neverland Ranch was built for people such as Elizabeth Taylor, who was absolutely in love with Neverland Ranch, Marlon Brando, who thought that this was the greatest monument that Michael could have built. Yes, children were enthralled with it, but he really built it with his winged victory statues and the fine artwork and things that children really have no interest in, because it was, well, he modeled it after William Randolph Hearst. Hearst Castle up in San Simeon. Hearst had a zoo. Michael wanted to have a zoo. Walt Disney loved riding in the train at Disneyland. Michael wanted to have a train that was a remembrance of the way Walt Disney so enjoyed himself. This was a place built for people of all ages, but especially his friends who were so enthralled with it all.
How's history going to look at him? Because you read the obits already. They make mention of the trouble that he had faced, and yet he had been acquitted of those charges. It's certainly not just a footnote in his history. It gets large mention.
I think that the trouble that he faced showed what kind of a man he was to come through the trial of fire. If you or I had experienced this kind of allegation, I know how devastating it was, but yet his constitution was so strong. He came through it. It took him a long time to recover. It's taken me a long time to recover from all of this. But what I do know is that Michael was innocent. He knew that he was innocent, and so did I. And we wanted to prove it to the world. Yes, it had an effect on him because it was a false allegation, but yet he came through, and I was very proud of him.
Brian, when you saw the people here amassed, there's still a large crowd over there, but there were a large crowd that had followed all the cameras over here for the news conference. What does that say to you about his impact on society in America?
Michael was the biggest entertainer in the history of the world. There wasn't a place on this planet that he could go that people didn't know him. They danced in the street to his music in Bombay, India, which is Mumbai. When he went to St. Petersburg in Russia, they all knew who he was. When he would go to Auckland in New Zealand, they all knew who he was. There was not a place on this planet. When he went to Africa, they knew who he was. His impact on music revolutionized all of music. This man was the most extraordinary